Being part of a diverse team is really important to me in all aspects of culture and race, identity, gender, spirit. It allows me a place to feel that I can be unique to myself, but I also fit in with the team. Elaine Karoloff, project manager. One of the things I really love about Civic Actions is the network of not only coworkers but friends that I've made at the company. I feel very supported, and then professionally, everyone I work with is just completely stellar.
What I tell them is when you come to work at Civic Actions, as opposed to another company, you're not getting in a car in the morning and driving an hour to work, sitting down, working towards an unknown goal, and then getting in your car and driving an hour half home. Instead, you're taking those 2.5 hours, you're returning those to your family, to your life, you're creating balance. And what you're doing is you're getting up in the morning, you're going in front of your computer, you sit down and you're seeing like-minded people, and you know exactly the goal you're working for. In our case, it's to transform government. And what that means to us is that we all are working towards a common goal. We're all open about how we're working and how we're doing against that goal, as opposed to working for a proprietary software company where we're going for quarterly results that we don't share or know or probably even participate in those profits. I'm Bill Ogilvy. I'm a VP of Public Sector at Civic Actions. Civic Actions is a unique company for me. I've been here about 4 years. Prior to that, I had done lobbying on the Hill. I had sold enterprise software, worked in a lot of traditional companies, a lot of different places. Ironically, I worked in offices and I knew about half the people. I probably knew facts about a third of the people. At Civic Actions, we work remotely around the world. And I can probably tell you some of the deepest, darkest secrets of all 45 people at Civic Actions. Pretty unique environment for not having that personal contact and touch.
No, I don't feel that remote work is as effective as on-site. I feel that it's more effective. It's way better because it gives me this ability to just focus. I'm absolutely tunnel vision. It's just me and the thing that I'm working on. Dan Gurin, engineer. I love working at Civic Actions because it allows me to grow technically as an engineer.
I appreciate the most about being distributed is the freedom to walk away from a project. I can go and I can take the dog for a walk, I can clear my head. It creates a lot more freedom to be more productive. And also being given time off to go and volunteer at marine conservation for 5 weeks so that I can take my time and do things that give back to the world and to the community and the environment. My name is April Rose, and I'm an engineer with Civic Actions. This is one of the most community-oriented companies that I've ever worked for. I mean, community-oriented within the community of Civic Actions.
Civic Actions has a great concept of balance scores. We report these scores back every day, sometimes several times during the day, because the balance can shift from the morning to the afternoon. The company's really interested in how I feel from the time I jump into my work at the beginning of the day to the time I leave at the end of the day. And I feel like that just supports me as an individual. My name is Eric Napier. I'm an engineer at Civic Actions. And to me, the greatest thing about Civic Actions is the people that I work with, both on a personal level, the personal connections that I've made here, and an intellectual level, the people that continue to challenge me to do better work.
I think the Civic Actions School, it is not about what you do specifically, but about who you are. And I think that's what's interesting. Like, as we improve, then we just naturally improve the work that we do for our clients, and they get that energy from us, and hopefully then they improve their own work environments and so on. So it's that simple. Just improve yourself, improve others. When I came in, I was obviously an engineer, and then like all these other facets of what a website is came across. Like understanding what the clients want, understanding customers, understanding our own internal processes for how we do things, and just seeing everything as a holistic kind of thing. It just totally changed my understanding of what a simple website actually is, which is a whole bunch of humans interacting and trying to get something valuable out of those interactions. Gerardo Gonzalez, engineer, and CivAc Actions is all about getting you all the value with the least amount of work.
I'd like to say thank you on behalf of the group and ourselves. I hope we pass the audition.
We're like masters of the way we approach our own work. And that's really kind of where the magic of a distributed team comes in. With CivAc Actions, being that we're all distributed, it makes us excellent at being clear and focused and transparent and trusting and devoted to the work that we do. Steve Curtis, project manager at CivAc Actions. And for me, CivAc Actions is a place comprised of just phenomenally curious, compassionate people.
A lot of places talk about being a flat company. I think they really do it here. I don't really feel like I have a boss. When I started here, I was just looking to join a team. I've really been enabled and empowered to go beyond that and to grow into more of a leadership role and a senior developer role, which I was not at all anticipating. We have a really talented engineering team with a pretty diverse skill set, and the thing that strikes me about them is that they're all really open and happy to share. Anytime I've seen somebody who's just curious about a technology, they want to learn something about JavaScript or what have you, just asking the rest of the engineering team, people are more than happy to step up and help facilitate that. Josh Rose, engineer, and CivAc Actions is a wonderfully supportive organization.
On the Global Net Project, we work with a lot of different organizations. With the people we've worked with, notice a change when we first meet them to, after we've worked with them for a few months. One thing that's really clear is they trust a lot more in the process that we bring. That at first are very skeptical about all of our silly ideas like balance. We've had people who refuse to participate in the balance practice who after 3 weeks are all of a sudden seeing the value of seeing how team is working together, and they see the results of people caring about other people's balance scores. Working through our sprint process, our planning process, our discovery process, they start to see, oh, this isn't an emergency. This is something we can accommodate within the scope of our work. So there's confidence and trust built up. The biggest change I see is removing an attitude of suspicion and really changing that into trust and cooperation. Bob Schmidt, I'm a development engineer. CivAc Actions is a company I always want to work for.
There's a deep authenticity at CivAc Actions that is just simply not prevalent elsewhere. That's one of our goals in transformation, is to bring that authenticity to everyone that we work with. I definitely miss the culture and the people and the connectedness. I left to go pursue maybe some enterprise level experience that I felt at the time that I'd kind of plateaued with CivAc Actions. But in hindsight, once I got to where I thought I wanted to be, I realized what I thought I wanted wasn't what I really wanted. I miss the joy. I miss the energy. I miss that feeling of connectedness. At CivAc Actions, everything is done intentionally and with great purpose, and I think that was really lacking for me when I left. Andy Hawks, engineer. And for me, CivAc Actions is transformational.
I love working at CivAc Actions. I love the flexibility I have with the work I do, and I can plan my schedule around what needs to be done. And I also love the collaborative atmosphere. There's a lot of developers ready to help. They have this focus on your balance and how well your life is working together with your schedule. I have a little baby, and as you know, sometimes it gets crazy when you have little ones, but they have been so good and so flexible with me.
Iris Ibekwe, front-end developer. CivAc Actions is a place where you're free to grow and learn new things.
What's different about CivAc Actions is CivAc Actions, as Henry, the CEO, likes to say, is selling presence. What it's providing is paying attention and listening in the moment and over the long term of what the real needs are of the customers and what they are really experiencing. And it's through that presence that a sense of trust develops. And having formed that sense of trust, it's actually possible to talk about the implicit issues and the softer issues, which often really make the difference between being able to solve intricate problems and not being able to solve them. I think that Civic Actions is very interested in the potential of individuals that they work with and organizations that they work with. Civic Actions recognized early what I wanted my company to be. The leadership team was willing to work with me personally in order to develop that potential and to see how that potential would further Civic Actions ends and Civic Actions clients' ends as well. My name is Greg Ellen. I'm the CEO of GovReady, and for the past 20 years, I have cared about studying and learning about technology as the embodiment of practice.
The first free software project I contributed to was actually a book that I wrote and published under the GNU Free Documentation License. So I gave it away, and it felt great when a lot of people read it and said they liked it. The biggest problem in a multidisciplinary Agile team is always having a balance between discipline and being too dictatorial. And Kent Beck always said you should follow guidelines, not rules. And so I try to get my teams to do that. AGL is Agile Gov Leadership, which is a forum for sharing information about Agile software methodology, but specifically aimed at transforming government. So we collect and distribute information about how members of government at the federal, state, and local level can attempt to use Agile technology. And we focus on those things that are unique to government. The cultures of 18F and Civic Actions are indistinguishable. They're both savagely committed to transforming government. I've been very impressed with Henry and Civic Actions' absolute commitment to being fiercely open in both the software and the processes which Civic Actions uses. I'm Robert L. Reed, PhD, consulting Agile coach for Civic Actions, and I love the fact that Civic Actions is fiercely open.
What I like the most about our team is that everyone is cross-functional and responsible for the outcomes of a project. It's not on the project manager's shoulders to make a project successful. We have really great relationships team-wide with each other. So our philosophy behind the Take What You Need vacation is that you're taking the time off that you need in order to feel balanced and healthy and productive. If someone wants to take a vacation, they do that. If someone needs a mental health day, they take it. One of the special things about it is that we also allow people to take longer breaks. So we have sabbaticals. We don't say no to time off requests. And because we are so cross-functional on our teams, when one person goes to take that break, the projects keep moving and they come back more refreshed, and we all benefit from that. When we are hiring, we look at two things. We're looking, of course, at past experience, the skills that someone might bring to a role that we're looking to fill. But we're also really looking at who this person is and how they're going to contribute to our culture. Do they have emotional intelligence? Do they communicate in a way that evokes love and compassion and willingness to learn? Is there an interesting way that they look at the world? Elizabeth Rayleigh, Director of Professional Services. What I value most at Civic Actions is that we truly care about each other. I care about my coworkers and they care about me.
I work near to Madrid in Toledo, which is a small kind of medieval town in Spain. There's a time difference of 9 hours between the west coast of the US and where I live, or 6 hours approximately at the east coast. That entails some complications. Because I'm not always working at the same time as the clients and the other developers, I need to maximize the use of the crossover period of time, which sometimes is 2 hours or sometimes a bit more depending. And I try to use that time to ask any questions, maximize communication, verbal communication with others, and just really get the most out of the other people I'm working with. Alex Scott interactive developer working for Civic Actions. I've been doing it for 10 years now, and it's an exciting company, and I love the people I work with.
So I'm quick to often add commentary or judge people's ideas or a project idea. And what I've learned being at Civic Actions is really just give people the space to execute on those ideas. Oftentimes I see that when people do that, they have a vision and they have a way to realize that vision. And often that is the key thing to make an idea successful. So what I've really learned to do is just give people that space to do what they need to do. What Civic Actions does is brings a sense of true presence to the real objective of a project. Oftentimes, in a highly visible government project, there's a lot of exasperation and fear. And I think what Civic Actions does is bring a little expertise and energy to projects, not only the technical and the project management methodologies, but also the emotional intelligence. And really allowing everyone on the project to feel a sense of togetherness and purpose and groundedness. If I was going to write a book about Civic Actions, I would call it Actions Speak Softly. And I would write it for leaders of our public sector institutions, schools, governments, military, police. And after reading this book, I would hope that they would walk away with the confidence and the assurance that they could lead those organizations with compassion and empathy and openness, with the objective of bringing joy to all of us. I'm Luke Frewell, a strategist at Civic Actions, and I believe that the people who work here because they want to be a part of something that is bigger than just themselves.
The thing that surprised me the most in the 2 days that I've spent with the Civic Actions group is how incredibly close everyone is and how much of a family it feels like, even though everyone is 100% distributed and they only see each other on computer screens most of the time, majority of the time, almost all of the time. And the one time that they get together, it's like they haven't skipped a beat. They're just right back together again, just one big happy family. There is no place that I've experienced like Civic Actions before. It's pure collaboration here. Everyone is for each other and they're so incredibly helpful. Each person here has a very special genuineness about them. My name is Susie Bird. I'm a project manager, and the best part of Civic Actions is their genuine concern for the people.
It can be something as simple as building back-end tools that can be supported by the front end and having that collaboration of the requests to make sure the dependencies are met. But also I think in more of a true agile spirit, it's about the learning that occurs and making sure that the two disciplines and the team members support each other in a collaborative way. Specifically, the contract might be the Department of Education project, our continued work with the House of Representatives, and I think our continued work with the FCC and GlobalNet that I feel, even though that might not be labeled as new, we are entering into new territory and new work with them. My name is Adam Bernstein. I'm the Associate Director of the engineering team. I really feel that the mentality that we see and that what we stand for is going to afford professional growth for me for a very long time and for the rest of the team.
The people and the culture are really not like any other company I've ever worked for. Just a really respect of your work and life balance. Just working with really creative people is awesome. And for that respect and understanding of your life, it really makes it for a much easier experience to do your job. I think I've gotten to work on my communication, working with so many diverse people and of different calibers and just areas of expertise. It's made you happy to grow, in a receptive way and in a giving way. My name is Christian Ducharme. I'm a software engineer at CivAc Actions, and I think this company just has a great understanding of people and the government and goals to transform it and really make it work for everyone.
Oh, absolutely. CivAc Actions is a learning company. I've learned so much in the last 2 years that I've been here. I don't think I've ever been in a more nurturing, supportive environment for learning. I think we're all pretty addicted to Slack on our phones or on our desktops. We do spend a lot of time hanging out using Google Hangouts. We want to co-work or bounce ideas off of each other. It works pretty well. Earlier this year, my mom passed away, and I knew that CivAc Actions had an excellent personal leave policy, unlimited paid time off, but I had no idea that I would receive the kind of emotional, spiritual support and empathy from from everybody. There were a few in particular who just became my spiritual guides during that process, and it was just beautiful. Richard Gilbert, front-end engineer. And what I appreciate about CivAc Actions is that it's really all about love.
In a typical day, I'd say I have 4 or 5 meetings, a couple of which are related to a project that I'm working on, 2 of which might be social. We're a very tight team, so it's work and play. My typical day, well, I'm old. I'm married with 3 kids. I get up, I drink some coffee, I meditate, I do a smidge of work, I drive my kids to school, I come back, I work, I look at cat pictures on the internet, I attend a meeting, a little bit of lunch, maybe watch a friend's rerun, do a little more work, eat some dinner, go for a nice walk, play with my kids, and then I like to get online again with my friends on Slack, and we might discuss a project, debacle that we had earlier in the day, or we might look at more cat pics. When you report a low balance score at CivAc Actions, you feel love. The 3 or 4 times that I've reported a balance score under 6, it's like a flurry of support that comes in on Slack, which is our primary means of communication. And you're reminded that you're part of this collective. And that's why I work at CivAc Actions, to be a part of this collective. The love is immense, and my balance score after being reported is something subpar is quickly raised. I'm Ethan Teague. I'm an engineer at CivAc Actions. CivAc Actions is a family. Every day I wake up and I thank the cosmos for my job. I love the people I work with, and I like to say that I feel like I'm retired, and the day that this becomes a job is the day that I leave.
For me, the biggest difference is that we genuinely have a culture of collaboration instead of competition. I think that's really unique and wonderful. The thing that surprised me most, it happened on the first day that I was hired. People just flocked to me to welcome me and to tell me how excited they were to have me there. And I felt like from the very first moment that I entered the company, people accepted me and believed in me and wanted me to be exactly who I am, and that was what they valued. The advice that I would give to girl geeks, first of all, I would say you belong and you deserve to be part of this community. And I realized that sometimes you might feel like maybe you're not, maybe you're an imposter, but you are not. If you have the curiosity and the passion for tech, then you definitely belong in our community, and I definitely want to know you, and you should reach out and email me if you ever have questions or you need support or you need a mentor. Please come find me. My name is Karen Johnson. I am a systems administrator at CivAc Actions, and I appreciate the true diversity and friendship that I experience here every single day.
I think you have happier employees. So you have people working on your projects who aren't burning out. You've got lower turnover because people can stay longer, and You've got people who aren't worrying that they're not going to be able to get their stuff done. So nobody in your project is worried about having to pick their kid up or run to the grocery store or get other things like life things done, because there's time for that and it's already built in. You're about balance and the idea of work-life balance and like really real commitment to the idea that people have lives outside of work and that work and your life should work together nicely. But that's not something that interests you or not something that's going to give you energy that will put someone else on. You can do something that really speaks to you and that you're going to be interested in doing. So I feel like that means everybody is always only working on things they care about and want. I've been really lucky. I've had lots of jobs that I really loved, and this is sort of the best parts of all of them. Commitment to work-life balance, coworkers that I just really love working with and who are collaborative and interesting and love to work together. Interesting projects, interesting clients. I'm Kim Davidson, I'm a project manager, and all my coworkers are awesome.
What I like about working on a fully distributed team is that it makes you very aware of your communication and your communication styles. I also like the flexibility in hours. I like the ability to rearrange my day depending on whether I've woken up with a headache or whether I'd like to meet up with a friend. So there is a certain flexibility in working from home that I haven't had before. In previous jobs as a front-end developer, I've always worked in a waterfall fashion, and Civic Actions is the first fully agile company that I've ever had the pleasure of working with. Working in a waterfall environment, frequently what happens is you have phases. You have a design phase, you have a discovery phase, you have all these phases, and eventually here comes the development phase, and then everybody, like all the developers, are just kind of scrambling around at last minute to make sure that they can cash the check that the other people before them have written. Being on an agile team, it promotes a sort of cohesion. I'm Heather Rodriguez. I'm an engineer at Civic Actions, and Civic Actions is a place truly where people matter over process.
It allows the team to create a space where we can be honest with one another, and it also provides an opportunity for us to give support where needed and for us to have an atmosphere of honesty so that we can really go forth and do the work that we need to do. It's an excellent way to build trust and rapport between you as well as our team and the client, and it just really helps us to build relationships and to help propel the overall vision for that organization. I really feel like Civic Actions celebrates everyone's uniqueness and individuality and the overall talent and knowledge base that we bring. Neutral Walker, project manager at Civic Actions. What I love most about working here at Civic Actions is the fact that I get to really help make change in our communities and just working in unison towards something greater than the sum of us.
You're on your own time, you're on your own schedule. Every day, pretty much, you have at least one scrum call. It's a 30-minute call, get you up to speed with what everybody else is doing on the team, what you're working on, to get some clarity on where you're going and what you're going to do, and then your time is your own. We don't have a ton of meetings, but we do have, the occasional weekly all-hands call, maybe an engineering call, but for the most part, your time is yours. Work at your own pace, you work at your own time. I'm an early morning worker, we have late night workers, we have people that are just kind of all over the map, people with kids who stop in the middle to pick up their kids from school, and those that come home later and work in the evening. I work with really good people and they bring out the best in you. One of the things that's really been good for me is the balance scores. Every day we check in with ourselves to see where we are mentally, physically, work-wise, what's our workload. And it really forces you to be introspective and take a good look at yourself. What we strive to do is to transform the way that government thinks. We want to change the way that they think, to transform them to think that things are possible and that we can do whatever we set our minds to. Tom Camp, I'm an engineer, and the best part about working at Civic Actions is the people. We are a family. We don't sit in an office next to each other. We're distributed around the world, but we're closer than in any office I've ever worked in.
Civic Actions is different than previous places that I've worked. Basically, in a word, I think maturity. comes to mind, both relational maturity and emotional maturity that I really haven't seen elsewhere. Looking at my career at Civic Actions, I've grown in a lot of my technical skills, but really I've grown in my super skills, those kinds of skills that you can apply anywhere. My name is David Newman. I am an engineer, and what I love about Civic Actions is just the depth of caring about each other, caring about our work.
I describe Civic Actions as a DevOps culture. We always have really had engineers involved with the servers and the deployment of code and managing that. And over the years, as the tools have improved, we've incorporated a lot more, automation into our processes. As a kid, I'd always wanted to work with charities. Like I was like, what would I do? I wanted to do something technical, and I wanted to work with like Greenpeace or Friends of the Earth. And this random job post on the internet. I was living in the UK, and I got this crazy long distance call with Henry, which took like a week to schedule. So what does Civic Actions do? And he's like, well, we work with all these progressive nonprofits. And I was like, you cannot be serious. Like, I get to work with like all these different nonprofits that I just love. And I think that my response to Henry was like, that sounds like my dream job. And I was like, it still is. As I've changed over the years, the company has changed to keep on challenging me. And we've gone into different clients, like the government clients, and still, I can just still see that connection to making the world a better place. My name's Owen Madden. I'm Director of Engineering. What I love about Civic Actions is the incredible team, the passion people bring to their work, and the results we produce to make the world a better place.
I really love the idea of transforming the way that security is done, especially in the government sector. Security has huge ramifications. It's growing bigger and bigger every day, and the way it's done needs some serious work. In 1985, I provided the base for the first version of Unix GNU Emacs to Richard Stallman. Working at Civic Actions is incredibly empowering. One of the best things about it is that I know I'm doing good things for the planet, I'm doing good things for my life, I'm transforming the world, and I sleep well at night. My name is Ben LeBalm. I'm the Chief Information Security Officer for Civic Actions, and I work with some of the best and most talented people in the world.
I would say the most unique thing about the Civic Actions culture is the approach to people as the primary resource rather than their skills. There seems to be a real investment in finding the right personalities for a culture that gels and then building the skills on top of that. My wife is also a professional and she works part-time. And prior to taking this job, we had a nanny. And now I can be with the kids when she's at work, and there's more dad-kid time. It's wonderful. I would describe Civic Actions as a learning company because most of the tasks that I've worked on thus far, there's been a very clear sense of confidence in me as a person, an investment in my ability to go and learn something myself and then contribute back to the team. My name is Jay Darnell. I'm an engineer. And Civic Actions doesn't just encourage me to be myself, I feel like I'm loved for being myself.
Metrics for user happiness are kind of tricky. If you successfully help someone and you answer a question for them, they always say nice things if they bother to answer. If you survey people who you haven't helped, then they always say bad things, but normally you don't know who they are. And one of the trickiest things about doing help desk support is that you don't always know who you're not helping. You don't always know who's having trouble, and the people who complain about this stuff are a really small percentage of the people who are suffering in silence and just don't think to tell you. So one of the really wonderful things to me is just being able to be hands-on and be in contact with people that are using the website or using the technology and just getting that conversation. And this is one of the few things in life where anecdotes are better than data a lot of the time, because you really get a sense for how people's experience is going. In other jobs I've had people curse at me and scream at me and pick up the phone already weeping. And I've had people who I never got to find out what was wrong because they were too busy cursing at the top of their lungs. In those cases, all you can do is try and be present and be human and recognize their humanity, even though it's a little bit exhausting. And sometimes you sort of have to just try and reset whatever script they're in order to be at least a little bit helpful for them. It's important for me, as someone who's doing help desk support, to always remember that I'm there for that person, I'm there to help them. When you do succeed in helping people, it's so rewarding that it makes up for the bad experiences. I'm really struck so far by how collaborative Civic Action staff are. They're really, everyone's interested in every aspect of the work and really have a team sensibility where everyone seems to want to help each other get stuff done the best way possible and think about how to do things better. But also, for me in particular, one of the main reasons that I joined this team is because Civic Actions has such a strong sense of mission, that people here believe in something bigger than just doing a job or just making a little bit of money. Everyone's here because they really want to change the world and make the world better. They want to improve government, they want to improve transparency, they believe in open source, they believe in Agile, and that sense of mission and social good is really crucial to me. My name's Arrow Gray. I'm the Help Desk Support Manager for Civic Actions, and I'm passionate about helping people use technology, and I found that Civic Actions is passionate about helping make government better.
A lot of people will say diversity is about working with a lot of different people, and that certainly is an important aspect of it, and I know we work hard to make sure that a lot of different voices are in the room. But for me, it's about when you're present in a room, does all that stuff about you make a difference in the way people treat you, in the way that you're interacted with? And Civic Actions is amazing. I have never felt more embraced for my weirdness. I have never felt more like it's just great for me to show up as exactly who I am, and I never feel like I have to hide anything. And it's just this really incredible feeling, and very rare. A lot of folks will give lip service to diversity and will think that it is about hiring people of color, and it is, but really what it's about is about how do you feel in the room. And do you feel like you're being accepted? We are incredibly connected. We have gotten the technology. We use all sorts of different web services. I find that a remote environment actually brings us together in a way that's seamless. My name is Anna Willem. I'm an engineer at Civic Actions, and I believe Civic Actions is the most incredible place I've ever worked.
I really appreciate the flexibility of being able to work when my kids are at school or work from the coffee shop. But at the same time, it takes a little bit extra level of dedication because you have to discipline yourself. I started just as a part-time contractor with a fairly limited skill set, expecting to do basically that thing. But immediately, I was presented with opportunities to learn new tools and be in different areas, proposals, sales, that I was never expecting to be involved in. And so I feel like the company has helped me grow. We maintain close connection over long distances, which reminds me of a family. We get together once a year. But also we're supporting one another, both emotionally and professionally. And I've seen people go the extra mile late at night to help one another in that sort of solid way that you expect from a family. Melinda Burgess, I'm the content specialist. And Civic Actions is amazing because it is this huge, quirky group of geniuses that I get to hang out with.
You're creating a space for people, an appreciation for people being balanced in their entire life. It breaks up the silos in the mind and opens up a lot of possibility, a lot of innovation. The way that applies to work is, when people are at work, if they have breaks at the time that they need them, if they're not stuck in traffic, if they're not panicked about their kids, what we find is that they're actually a lot more productive. They may work the same amount of hours. Sometimes they do work more when you're more balanced, sometimes it's less, but the productivity goes up. like the algorithms come, the understanding of the audience, the users come when people are really in the zone. This idea that you could do something so simple and it would somehow spread, that is transformative. It doesn't have to be a lot of work. In fact, the biggest transformations are really inside.
Henry Poole, CEO, I believe in radical openness.
There's a new era coming in of digital technology firms that are rethinking what it means to develop for government. We are essentially blazing a new path. And so one of the most powerful tools that I think that we employ is this whole idea of using context. How do we collaborate on projects? What would make our process better? What makes being here special? The shorthand of that is culture. A deeper cut of that is really about authentic relating, being open listeners for each other, listening with generosity, bringing trust, supporting each other in our desire to have balance. Throughout the entire culture, it's permeated with openness, this idea of radical openness in sharing our processes. One of the things that we've been doing at Civic Actions has been really about reimagining what digital services in the government context looks like, right? Applying a lot of the best practices using agile software development, lean methodologies, user-centered design, human-centered design. What's happening on the government side right now is they're recognizing that there's a delta between their desire to have modern software and run a digital government and the way that the government purchases software. There's a number of initiatives that are going on right now to rethink procurement and how we could better procure digital services in a way that aligns with modern software development practices.